Okay, and welcome to my time-lapse video of these dolphins in soft pastels. So today I'm going to be showing you how to draw these dolphins, or how I draw these dolphins using soft pastels on pastel mat. I will be covering the whole thing fully over on my Patreon, so if you're interested in a real-time tutorial, then please go over to my Patreon. In the meantime, this video is a speeded up version, and you will be able to pick up a couple of little hints from watching this video. So please draw along, please ask any questions you have in the comments, and let's get on with it. Just to mention, I will have all the materials I use in the description. So first of all, I'm going to start with this soft pastel stick, and I'm just going to cover the whole area in the background with soft white pastel with this soft stick. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread it around just to get it into the tooth of the paper in the background. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to use this blending tool. I'm going to use this when it's fairly clean, just to smooth and push all of that soft white pastel into the paper, smooth it out and pushing it down into the tooth of the pastel mat, just to get it as smooth as possible. This does a couple of things, but it also helps you be able to clean up areas if you have made any smudges, especially when you're dealing and using white pastel mat as we are here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to draw the outline of these dolphins. So I'm going to use a black pastel pencil, and I'm just going to make sure it's fairly sharp, and I'm just going to just darken the outline of these dolphins. Like I said, I have the full real-time tutorial of this over on my Patreon account. I really do appreciate the support when people follow me on Patreon. But if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, that also really helps me and enables me to produce more free content like this. So if you notice, what I am doing here is I'm actually drawing in the black parts of these dolphins lines, the edges, but I am leaving out areas or edges of these dolphins that are not needed to be quite so dark. So these are left out for obvious reasons. Drawing in the eyes, all the dark areas, I'm just blocking them in and drawing them in with this black pastel pencil. So You can tidy up little areas as you go using erasers. I'm using a mechanical eraser to do this. And now I'm going to come in with this very light grey soft pastel stick. So what I'm doing here is very lightly putting down these areas that are the greyest areas of the dolphins, trying to match the reference picture as best I can. And now I'm going to use my blending tool just to smooth that in and blend it all together so that it creates a nice smooth texture to this dolphin's skin. Okay, and once I've done this, I will then do the same with the smaller dolphin. Just blending this in, and then I'll do the same with the smaller dolphin just to try and keep that continuity. Now on the snout of these dolphins, there's a sort of a yellowy or almost an ochre yellowy color, yellowy brown color. So I'm going to use a soft pastel stick just to add a touch of this color onto the snouts of these dolphins. So this is the soft pastel stick I'll be using. It's the closest match I can find to the reference picture, and I'm just adding in just a little bit of material onto the snouts, roughly in the area that I need it to be. And of course that blends in with the white pastel and the grey pastel below. And I'll then blend that in with a blending stump. Now this blending stump isn't the cleanest, so it's quite handy because it's actually adding a little bit of dark pastel to this snout anyway, and it means I can use it to draw some of this darker grey along and use it to actually draw some of these darker areas with. So using it to move some of that pastel down around the snouts, blending it all in and pushing it into the tooth of the paper. And if you can see here, I'm actually using this blending stump to sort of darken some of these areas by grabbing some of that dark pastel off the edges and using them to sort of drag it inwards on the flipper and give it a more of a shaped texture. So I'm just doing that wherever I can. And now here, there is a slight reflection of the light here, I think it is, onto the underbelly of these dolphins. So I'm using this very light blue pastel, just touching in a little bit of material that I can then use and blend that into the white, just to give that hint of colour. And it also helps give a little bit of texture to these dolphins. And here I can also see a little bit more of this sort of more of a yellowy colour. So I'm going to use a soft yellow pastel here. Just a very slight touch of that material onto the underbelly, just to blend that in using a blending tool so that it gives that hint. And again, like I said, you can clean up little areas using a mechanical eraser. So I'm going around now just cleaning things up. And now we've kind of got base here that's coming, and we're building the layers to create these dolphins. Now here I'm going to use a different brand of soft pastel pencil. This is the Derwent, the other ones were Faber-Castell. This is because this grey is more of a silver grey and it sort of suits what I wanted. So I'm going to now put a layer of this on top of the of these dolphins. And now it's time to add a darker grey, so where we see the darker areas of the dolphins, so probably the bits that are more shadowed or they are actually patterned on the darker top half of the dolphins, we can use this pencil to add those details. Now, after I've blended those in using the blending tools and tried to get the shape is starting to appear now of these dolphins, or this smaller one certainly, we're then going to use a black pastel pencil just to bring in those darker areas again. And also notice that I do actually add a touch of purple from a soft pastel stick, as well as I can just about notice a little bit of purple too. Now I want to, after this, I want to lighten the areas that are light. So I'm going to come back in with my white pencil just to lighten these areas further. And now I'm going to do exactly the same for the larger dolphin. Now we're going to keep repeating this process over and over until we've built up enough layers and we're happy with the depth and the shape of our dolphins. So just keep going over the same process over and over again, blending them in using your darkest areas, adding in a little bit of touch of colour here and there until you're happy with what you have. So that's the first stage of this drawing, and you could stop there and it would be quite a nice little drawing of two dolphins. What I want to show you now is how I added the water, as we can see in this picture. So this is kind of the final picture. So I want to show you how I actually added this water in, and unfortunately I didn't keep that part of this film, so I had to film a version of it separately, so I will show you that now. So what I had to do, as I accidentally deleted the footage, is I've just quickly drawn a part of the one dolphin, and if you follow this technique you'll be able to get the same look to your picture. So it's just about the technique used. So we'll just start here by cutting off this top dorsal fin. I'm using my mechanical eraser to do that. So what we're going to do is use it just to erase the fin from the top. And rather than using an eraser to smudge it all in, I can use this mechanical eraser. You can use just a normal eraser, but I tend to find it kind of smudges. And these mechanical erasers just take the material up and lift it away. So I find them really good. So once I've done that, what I'm going to do is add in more white pastel onto that bit that we've cleaned. And then I'm going to use some soft pastels, some light blue, medium blue and dark blue. And I'm just going to add them on in just little areas. So I'm just going to sort of sketch them in. Not quite so much of the dark and then the blue, and then I can blend these together. And now, a little bit later, we can smooth them over. I'm also now going to use a dark grey pastel pencil, and this will be to create the bubbles, or should I say the disturbance in the water. So if you just put these little areas around, and this will create that for you once we've finished this process. Like I said, there are more in-depth and real-time tutorials over on my Patreon if you wanted to follow along, and obviously there's many other tutorials on my Patreon too, so I really appreciate everybody who signs up to that or follows me. It really helps produce more of these free videos. I'm then going to come in with my white pastel pencil. I'm just going to use it to flick and slightly smudge these dark areas of grey, and as you can see, it's starting to create more of a blended in sort of disturbance of the water here. You'll see it more once I've finished blending the top. Okay, and once we finish that, we can use a soft pastel stick and just use it to blend over the top of those colours, and then use a blending stump just to smooth those all in and create that sort of water feel. And the next thing we're going to do is create some of the highlights. So these are the highlights of the light catching the water, coming through the water and hitting the skin of this dolphin. And so if you want to try and go, I'm using the sharp edge of this pastel stick. You can use a pastel pencil. I just find that the soft pastel sticks are slightly softer, and so they go on top of the layers of pastel more easily. And just carefully draw them as thin as you can as you see them coming down, and try and shape them around the animal as best you can. And so if you complete this technique or carry on with this technique, you should end up with a picture very much like this picture. So if you've been drawing along or just following along and you've liked and enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and I really would appreciate everybody who takes a look at my Patreon. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more.